under stars.
She wanted to do an album with a quintet or sextet, I think it was, and it was called Julie at Home, and we had fun doing that. And again, now she was having a good time, and we were just at her house.
So nice, you'd be paradise.
It was a wonderful opportunity because you'd look at Julie in her house, and you'd think about how great it is. I wish we could do something here. And, you know, but that was something you never thought would really happen. And then apparently Bobby Troop and Cy and Julie was sitting down, and they came up with this idea of why not have all the musicians come up here. The house is big, we've got the room, it's acoustically great, and why don't we record it up here? Recording at home was not a thing that was happening a lot.
And again, no music. We just talked about, well, with the key. We checked out her keys and everything, and just that was it, and it worked.
Let there be you, and let there be me. Let there be oysters under the sea. Let there be wind and occasional rain, chili con carne, sparkling champagne.
She was really a fan of small nightclub jazz.
To sing in the trees.
So for 15 years, basically, she was going to clubs, hanging out and seeing these bands, and then she decided that she could have a professional singing career. And that kind of feel, it's like almost the beautiful girl in the bar just stood up and sang.
But first of all, please, let there be love.
The thing that moved her so, that got to her center, was jazz, both instrumental and vocal. Amazing how she would react to that. She really wanted to talk about jazz and what is everybody doing on Thursday night? Come on by at 9 o'clock, and we'll start singing at 12 and sing until 5 in the morning.
It begins to tell round midnight, round midnight.
We would go out nightclubbing and then end up at the house with some of the musicians that we had met. You couldn't get out of there. The sun would be coming up, and she'd, wait a minute, before you go, there's one more Ray Charles tune you've got to listen to. And so you'd be there listening to these recordings. They had a marvelous recording system.
She knew how to throw parties, and she wanted everybody to have a good time, and she wanted everybody to know that if you played something, you could play. You could play that instrument, you could sing, you could do this. That was her joy, as long as she got a chance to sing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Many of Julie's albums were recorded late at night, when her voice was at its most warm and open. She rarely enjoyed touring and was more at home in nightclubs and cabaret than large concert halls.
I really don't enjoy performing that much, unless everything is perfect, which is what you always hope for. In the clubs, if the music is perfect, if you're in good voice, if the material is great, well, then it can be fun. But if one of those things is off, then it's just painful.
She had to overcome that shyness that she had. She, I think, was very uncomfortable in front of an audience, did not eat the audience the way we see people today. They stand there 16 years old, and it's, you know, it's kind of a freedom that some singers can achieve, and most cannot. And Julie was uncomfortable in the spotlight.
Well, once I had a man as sweet as he could be. Once I had a man, and he was so right with me. Kind of sandy hair, eyes so soft and blue that you couldn't help but care. When he looked at you, he called me baby, baby.
She did not enjoy performing like Bobby Troup did. Bobby Troup would play the piano and sing in Gelson's, which is a shopping mall here, a food place. He just loved to entertain. Julie didn't really love to entertain that much.
And lonely are the nights, lonely, lonely hours without that man.
She didn't like some singing jobs. She kept saying how scared she was. Here she was singing for a long time, Las Vegas, Japan, go all over the world more or less, and yet she was always afraid. And I never could figure if you're a good singer, but evidently it's just something inbred, you know, in people.
And call me baby.
I can see by looking at her that she was really singing from her throat and not really singing from her diaphragm. What do I sound like? How right on am I? But, so that kind of surprised me, and I thought, ooh, I wonder how long after that she could keep singing, because with the footage and with her albums, her voice gets lower and lower and lower with each passing Marlboro.
So I smoke a little too much, and I joke a little too much, and the tunes I request are not always the best, but the ones.
Julie recorded her final album in 1968.
So I go at a
In the 1970s, she and Bobby appeared together in Emergency, a hugely popular TV series produced by her first husband, Jack Webb. The show ran for 5 years, with Julie receiving a Golden Globe nomination for her portrayal of head nurse Dixie McCall. Many of her new fans were not even aware she'd been one of America's most acclaimed singers.
Never heard Julie ever sing out of tune, anytime, and she won't sing anymore. You know, I don't understand it.
We all hate that, really.
I don't understand. It's, you know, you do records, but you won't sing in person.
Well, I'll tell you, we've been doing the show now for close to 5 years. And the first 4 years after we started doing the show, I sounded pretty good.
You sound good now.
No, I don't.
Yes, she does.
Sing 2 lines of Cry Me a River, Cry Me a River. Just 2 lines. Just want to hear. I was checking it out. Doesn't mean anything. Just try it. 2 lines. That's all I'm
How do you know that's my key?
Because I picked the sexiest one I could find. Go ahead.
I cried a river over you.
Oh.
I just assumed that she would record forever, and being married to a prolific songwriter, who Bobby was, I assumed that she would never be able to get away from singing, because he would probably say, "Here, I got another song for you." So I was surprised that she would stop. I don't know why that was. I always assumed it was because of her children.
When Emergency ended in 1978, Julie devoted her remaining years to her family and grandchildren. In 1995, she suffered a stroke from which she never fully recovered. Her devoted husband, Bobby Troup, died in February 1999. The following year, on October 18th, her late husband's birthday, Julie London died of cardiac arrest in a California hospital. She was 74.
I was talking to Linda Wheeler the other day about her last night, and she and Caroline went to high school with Julie. And they went over to her house and brought out some music, and she got all made up. And a nice, cool night, and she was listening to Ray Charles. And really started tearing up a little bit. And she died the next day, but had a marvelous night that night.
Well, just to prove you do. Cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river.
I don't think that people have named her as one of the great singers of that age. And I think that the further we get away from that time that she was singing, she will be considered as somebody who was a major contributor in the singing and jazz field and ballads.
Maybe part of the reason she didn't sort of become a huge legend or a huge icon was because she didn't have a really emotive story attached to her, like so many of these other artists. She didn't have the sort of whiff of tragedy, and it was maybe difficult. And she was quite a private person as well, and in that way, maybe was less easy to sell as a diva.
She was really a great artist of her time, but now the genre is sort of seen less as jazz than as easy listening as lounge music, and there was a real kind of appreciation of that kind of cocktail, martini drinking generation. Her cool, is very timely now.
I think she got very much what she wanted as far as movies and the recording, but she never wanted the singing for some reason, and yet she was better at it.